Welcome back, everyone, or perhaps welcome for the first time. In fact, I have seen more new players since I can ever recall other than the initial launch of the game, and it's absolutely great to see. There's been a ton of new players on the channel. Thank you very much. There's also been a ton of new players in World Chat and various chats in game and so forth, and I absolutely love to see it. I want to be very clear that if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them on any video of mine that you're watching. In fact, a lot of times members of the community will actually answer them before I even get to them. So if you're wondering about anything, it doesn't have to pertain to a video you're watching. Just leave your question and you might get an answer and a response that way, and that will help you out within the game. Today, what we're talking about, we're doing a little bit of science and some experimentation here. We're talking about a resource that has just increased in value since the update, and that is Purification Shards. So we're going to go into Cursed Gear, and I've got atrophied on my helm and shoulders, and I'm actually going to re-roll these for science, of course, just as an example. And you're going to see that I have 82 shards right now. Now, we did see a bump to Purification Shards at one point. However, it remained the same in the update. But since the update, gear is just falling every which way, right? And with gear having an increase to its potential combat rating, every time you increase in Paragon level, you're replacing a lot of gear, which is making these Purification Shards more valuable than ever. So I'm going to waste some Purification Shards so that you perhaps get to save some and learn a lesson from what I'm doing. We'll also get to see how my luck is. So I'm going to re-roll my helm in an attempt to get atrophied again. In fact, I get ghosted, and just to rule it out, I'm going to choose the new attribute just so that it doesn't exist there. And now we're going to try and get atrophied. So I can keep ghosted. Keep ghosted. We are just rolling, wasting our shards, which I have actually been saving for some time. So in order to just roll one piece, had this been a new piece of gear, it took me 6 shards. Now, I'm not going to re-roll the other one because I want to hold on to my shards, but I just want to show you how many of these shards you can burn through. In fact, 6 is fairly typical. I've heard a lot of people wasting 14, 15 shards trying to get one piece of gear in the right spot. Now, you don't have to be re-rolling Cursed Gear right now. That might seem crazy, especially if you're somebody who likes to min-max. But other than the update and farming right now, there isn't a ton going on, right? Your character doesn't need to be fully decked. Everybody had their Battleground season reset, and it's a 10-week season. So even if you're pushing for higher ratings, you can probably afford a couple of weeks before re-rolling your Cursed Gear and completely min-maxing. Now, if that's your thing, and you're all about BGs and want to make sure your character is set as possible, then by all means, don't let me stop you. But I just want to bring emphasis here that as you're picking up more and more new gear, which is going to continue because this combat rating is always going to increase with your Paragon level. So every week you're going to be seeing more gear most likely, and something that at least makes you consider of whether you should swap out your existing piece or not. And you're kind of limited on how many of these shards you can get. You can pick up shards from the Hilts vendor every time they refresh there. And this is something I personally do. I always make sure I have enough Hilts to grab them when they come back, because I know the importance and the value of them. So make sure that you're doing that, and make sure that you're at least considering how this dynamic has kind of changed between the number of shards you have and how often you're getting pieces of gear that need to be re-rolled. Next thing I want to talk about is just kind of clearing the air on something around upgrading blacksmith primary gear. Now, this does work for secondary gear as well. And if you go in here, you'll see that I have actually recently upgraded, which is kind of what made me think of it and reminded me that some people have been asking. You can upgrade with backwards compatible mats, meaning I do not have to go farm enchanted dust, right? I can farm the beguiling dust in the current difficulty that I'm in, and it will actually go backwards at a 1-to-1 ratio. Where the conversion at a worse ratio occurs is when you have, say, the enchanted dust, trying to use that to upgrade a piece for beguiling dust. Then it takes 20 enchanted dust to become 1 beguiling, and that, in my opinion, is really not worth it. But if you have excess, then you may as well use it up. But in general, no, you do not need to go back difficulties. Just want to clear that up. Stay farming on the current difficulty that you are, and you will be able to use the mats that you're acquiring there to upgrade these levels on the new slots that you have. Now, in order to be able to utilize that option, you want to make sure that you go through the menu, into the settings or the gear icon, and then scroll down until you see this line here, Salvage Material Usage Settings. Now, I have one turned on and one turned off, and you can configure these to however you prefer. And the reason I have this turned off is because I want my crystals to remain the current version of them, just to ensure that I don't go backwards compatibility if something ever comes in. The crystals were very precious for a long time. Just recently, they have really lost that value. But on the top line here, automatically use lower tier and higher tier salvage materials to upgrade primary equipment. By enabling this, this will allow you to do that backwards compatibility to use the beguiling dust for enchanted and so forth to level those up. Another thing a lot of people don't realize as well is you can take advantage of the smithing materials. Specifically, the enchanted dust is a pretty popular one. You can convert excess scrap right into dust right here. So I know that I'm going to need more dust than scrap given what I have. So in fact, I can just pick up 177 of these with essentially all of my scrap here, and I know that I'll use that. Now, you don't have to do it ahead of time. You can wait until you see what you need and do it that way as well. But I kind of know how this works. I've been farming for a long time in this game, and I know that I will acquire 8,000 scrap long before I acquire 1,000 dust. So you can do the math out and see what you need. But just wanted to clear this up like I said. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.